All right, here we are. Hello, hello, hello. This is Dawn Reby, and welcome to this week's session, Tribe of Excellence Facebook community. And we are here to talk about food as self-care, right? Far too often, leaders, mid-level managers, small business owners, and professionals overall are so busy that we end up just grabbing and going, right? And we've kind of come into this lifestyle where we are a grab and go, immediate food kind of thing, satisfaction. And today we're changing all that. Hi, Andrew. Hey, Caroline. It's so good to see you. Janet's here. Erica's here. Who else is popping on here live today? Today we are talking about food as self-care. Right? This is a different kind of way of looking at food. And we're busy leaders. We just are. Hey, Julie, how are you? Renee, I'm excited about this session too. This is going to be wonderful. And so here's the thing. You're a professional. You're a leader. You're a worker or a small business owner or a mid-level manager, right? Supervisor. And here you are trying to put out all these fires all the time that you just grab and go. And you say to yourself over and over again, I need to get healthier. I need to get healthier. But the gap feels so far. The gap feels so far between you getting healthy and where that self-care food is, right? And so what we're going to do today, we have a very special guest for you today. And I'm going to share with you. She's going to pop on here live with us together. I know many of you have been dying for this class, and this master class. I guess it's kind of like a mini master class with Chef Lauren. Chef Lauren will be joining us in just a minute. And before she pops on here, I want to invite you to just take a breath for a second and think about you're a leader. You're a leader in your career. You're a leader in your home life, right? Has your career been taken over? Has your business been taken over? Have you gone so far away from the healthy food thing? Maybe you go on a little a healthy food binge, and then you back away from it and you're like, oh, life is too busy to do that, right? We're all about this integration of work-life harmony here, and food and using food as self-care is a huge component. So we have this very special guest who's going to come on here and share with us exactly how we can use healthy food as a form of self-care. Hey, Alex, how are you? Good to see you here too. So I want to know in the comments right now, before we bring Lauren on, Chef Lauren, I want to know in the comments right now, how healthy, on a scale of 1 to 10, whether you're listening to the live or listening to the replay, how healthy is your relationship with food, right? Do you treat yourself, right, to those foods that are really not serving your body very well? Do you struggle with what foods to choose? Do you open up your refrigerator and say, I have nothing to eat, even though there's 50 things there? Do you struggle as a leader to have this professional career and want to optimize your body and optimize food, but it's too fast, it's too quick. Everything has to be quick in your world. So on a scale of 1 to 10, let's rate where you are. A scale of 1 means, oh my God, help me, please. And a score of 10 means, I got this all figured out. I'm a healthy food person, right? So Alex can do a little better. Erica, not terrible, but she loves her mac and cheese. So she rates herself as a 5. So a lot of folks say, why are we talking about this in a leadership group? Why are we talking about food as self-care in a leadership group? And here's the thing, food can be self-care if you allow it. Alicia's 1, Anastasia's 2, Renee, what are you? What are the rest of you? I see Caroline on here. Julie's a 5 in terms of her relationship with food. Yeah. And so Alicia says, I'm not where I want to be. Yeah. So why do we talk about food as self-care in a leadership development group? We do it because taking excellent care of yourself is one of the key pillars to success. It just is. When you take good care of yourself, your teams operate better. Your business operates better. You operate better when you take really good care of you, right? And part of that is forming a healthy, strong relationship with quality food. So Renee is an 8. All right. So you got some healthy ways of living. Fantastic. So what I love about Chef Lauren, and her and I met a couple of years ago. What I love about Chef Lauren is she makes healthy food so much fun. It is so fun with her, and you will see in just a second. I'm going to see if I can plop her on here. I think there's a little button I press here to get her here. And I'm going to here, Lauren. So you might have received a little button from me. Go ahead and click on that button and join us live. All right. So here we are with Chef Lauren. She's popping on live with us. Food is self-care. Renee says, I overindulge for a week. Then when you're out of town. Yeah, that could be a challenge. That could be a challenge.
I'm upside down. Hold on.
While she gets re-situated here, there we go. While she gets all worked out there, I want you to go ahead, if you're just joining on here, and rate on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your relationship with food? 1 being, oh my goodness, I just grab and go, and I'm a busy leader. I don't have time for this whole food thing, right? Is that you? Is that you? You just grab for the bar, the cookies in the desk, right? Or on the scale of 1 to 10, on the other side, have you really figured this out? Have you really figured out a healthy way of living? So while we're getting Chef Lauren all set up here, you go ahead and plug that into the chat. Welcome, Lauren. I am so glad you're here.
Me too. It's so good to see you. Hi, everyone. So great to be here.
It is so good to see you too. Thank you for joining us here. I know your schedule's crazy busy, and you took a little bit of time out of your day to talk with our leaders here. So thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. You are glowing. You are beautiful. I'm so glad that you're here with us. Those are all those veggies you eat, huh?
Yeah, and the sunshine. I was in Florida last week, so I'm a bit sunburned.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. I hope Florida was fun.
It was, much needed.
Good. I don't think that you see the comments, or I don't think that you see any of the stuff here. So I'm going to do my best to kind of interject and let you know when folks have questions and when they're giving you some love and that kind of thing. Sound good?
Awesome. Yeah.
Beautiful. So I just want to formally introduce you. I'm going to call you Chef Lauren, because that's exactly what you are. You have so much fun with healthy food. But before we get into exactly how leaders can do that, go ahead and share with us a little bit about you so these folks know who they're talking to.
Yeah, so I am always someone who always have loved food, I should say, has loved food. And so for me, that took on a couple different forms throughout my life. As a kid, I always loved pastry and sweets. And so that was the track that I took professionally. So I went through Le Cordon Bleu, through their pastry certificate program, ended up kind of in the beginning stages of a pastry career, and realized that the food just wasn't serving me. I felt so numb. I felt like I wasn't able to step into that leadership in that industry, I guess, because there was something else that was kind of like calling my name, and it was very soft at first. And it was something though that just like kept kind of nagging at me, and it just kept like the universe kept just putting people and recipes and restaurants and things like in my path. And so I knew I wanted that sense of fulfillment and that sense of not control, but just that sense of connection, I guess, to food and to myself and to the bigger world around me. And so I used food as a way to do that. Mm-hmm. So I started where I was at the time. This was like 6 years ago, maybe. At the time, I was eating cake scraps and coffee lattes and soggy French fries. And so I had to start where I was. Mm-hmm. I had to transition along the path in a way that made sense so that I could go plant-based and stay there. So I could fall in love with the process, because what's the point? Mm-hmm. It would be like building a house that you have no intention of like living in. Like, what's the point? Right. Exactly. So why are you going to shoot your goal to a diet or to food or a lifestyle that you're not even excited about? Like, that's just, life is meant to be fun and filled with joy and pleasure. And the best way that I found to do that was through the food choices I was making every day. And so now I bring clients through that same thing and just share that philosophy with as many people who will listen, anyone with an empty belly and an open mind.
I love that.
And it's so fun and flavorful. Yeah.
Anastasia says fries and shakes are not good for you. Let's actually break that down for a second, because here's the thing. I hear so many leaders, they're just like, oh, I only have 5 minutes for lunch and I'm just going to run out and grab something and run back in. And so they run out and they just order nowadays, right? And it gets delivered to your doorstep, and you're saying to yourself, I'm going to eat lunch, right? But we all know it's not real food. We all know it's not fueling your system to really optimize your success, but it's a filler, right? It's that
Mm-hmm.
filler. So
Mm-hmm.
what do you like? I'm putting the hat on of small business owners, let's say, who are so busy, who are, just people who want to do well in their business. Like, what do you say to them who have taken a step back from taking good care of their bodies?
Yeah, yeah. So with respect to time, right? Like often they know that they only have a limited amount of time for lunch. So it's almost like you have to know what you're dealing with in your calendar and in your schedule, your day to day, and you have to work backwards. So you have to plan for that. You have to plan for when you might be hungry, for when you're going to have, periods of shortened time in your calendar when you might not be able to actually go and get the lunch that you want. So maybe you bring your lunch, or you have a really, really powerful nutrient dense breakfast mid morning or something. And then dinner rolls around, and then that's when you're finally hungry. So, like, I noticed that for myself. So, I'm not so much focused on like snacking a lot and like what are the healthy, like the little things that I'm eating throughout the day. When I go to eat a meal, and you might like, I'm a small person just in nature, but like I can eat a lot of food. So I love to focus on the meal itself and to be fully present with the food, to nourish and feel that sense of fullness,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm back to whatever I was doing, and I do so with a fully focused and clear mind, because all the food that I just ate was actual food, right? Just because you can eat it doesn't mean it's food. Just
Exactly.
because, right? Just because you can pour dish detergent or bleach into your car
Yes.
doesn't mean that that's the fuel that's going to make it run. And then we sit there, years later in our bodies, and we wonder, how did my body start to break down from the inside out? That's how. You were
Yeah.
giving it the wrong fuel.
And I
So,
think that's a really good point, Lauren, to make, is that, we're throwing these things in our mouths, right? Because, we're that busy supervisor, or we're that professional who is just grab and go. And maybe we looked at a bar and we're like, oh, there's some good ingredients in there. But what you're really talking about is what are you actually putting in your body, and how are you optimizing this beautiful gift that you have to help it operate at the highest level possible. And so just because something is labeled food, right, it's not food, right? Anything outside that perimeter.
exactly.
And let's talk about how it makes people feel. Like, I know if I eat bread the next morning, I'm swollen. I
Mm-hmm.
know that my hands get swollen. I know that my belly doesn't feel the same. Is anyone like that? Is anyone here listening? When you eat something, oh, actually, let's do it like this. Let's have a little fun, Lauren. If you are listening to the live or to the replay, what is the food that you know that when you eat it, you don't feel good afterwards? Go ahead and put that in the chat right now. What's the food that you go to, that you grab, that you know that it doesn't make you feel good? And I'll tell you what mine is if you tell me what yours is.
Love that. Love that. Totally. Totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have pizza. Alex says pizza. As soon as she eats pizza, it's no bueno. Yes. Alicia says sugar. Yes. I think that's a really
Yeah.
good thing to talk about in depth, that sugar piece. Renee says sugar in bread. Yeah, your body just doesn't feel the same. So those peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, right, don't work. Chris says donuts. So these are the things that we eat that we know we're not going to feel good, but our bodies actually have all these receptors on it, right? Our tongue has multiple receptors that are like addicted to sugar, right? And so Erica says anything fried, yeah, and it just doesn't make you feel good, but you just do it. You just do it because it's a quick, easy, it's a quick go. Julie says fried food. And so as you're hearing all this, Lauren, what are you thinking? You're hearing Dion says, I recently took a test and discovered that 75% of my food staples I have an allergy to. Holy cow. Yeah, Dion. I mean, that's just
Wow.
exactly. So, Chef Lauren, as you're hearing some of this food that people know, leaders know, it doesn't make me feel good, but I grab it. What do you say about this food here that we're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a good question. And the first comment that I'll start with is this, right? In these examples of these foods, we know what foods are not good for us, right? There is no question. And the kind of the common thing you'll see among all healthy diets is vegetables. That's at the center of all of them. So whatever that looks like for you beyond that, what they all have in common is, low or no processed sugar, no refined packaged foods, vegetables, tons and tons of vegetables, right? Um, so with that list of foods though that were coming up from the people watching, yeah, it's not surprising
Yeah.
that's the food that they reach for, right? Because it does, food plays such a trick on us, such a trick, because we're hardwired to reach for those sweet treats, because back in the old days when we actually were Paleolithic, right?
Mhm.
And searching, foraging for food, sweet treats meant something different to us then than they do now, where sugar, refined sugar now is very, very concentrated, like a crack cocaine form of
Mhm.
sugarcane juice. So it's
Yes.
like our brains just go on overload. And then what
Mhm.
happens in our gut bacteria is that all the wrong actors get the spotlight. Basically, when we keep eating those foods, they just keep like soaking up more and more, and that's what really controls your cravings. So you need to let your body have some time to let those bacteria die. And
Mhm.
in doing so, in adding more fiber rich foods, your gut bacteria, the positive bacteria, will actually start to thrive. And that's where your body will become so much more connected to why you like to make those healthy food choices, not why you shouldn't be making those unhealthy food choices. So really,
I like that.
it's yeah, it's very important, because a lot of, and kind of what comes up with the foods, right, as people were saying, is um, they know which foods make them feel bad, but actually choosing the healthier foods is a totally different conversation. And so when
Yes.
you feel so much more connected to how healthy food makes you feel, how
Mhm.
drinking more water makes you feel, or whatever the healthy activity is, when you're more connected to how it makes you feel and you want to have more of that, that becomes your willpower. That becomes your motivation, right?
Yes.
So ultimately, you don't need quite so much willpower. You don't need to
Mhm.
psych yourself up to choose more broccoli versus brownies or whatever it is, right? You just know, okay, like if I go for that choice, I understand the consequence, and then over time, you find that you make less of those decisions because they just don't spark
Sure.
joy. Like I used to eat ice cream every single day, pretty much as a kid, like no joke, every single day ice cream. I don't hardly go near it. I was out with friends over the weekend. We stopped on a bike ride out at an ice cream shop, a vegan ice cream shop at that. And I didn't get anything because I knew I would much rather have had something else. My food choice wanted to be spent in a different way.
Mhm.
It just
Mhm.
wouldn't be satisfying. So, yeah,
Yeah.
so that's, I think, what I have to say about that. What questions are popping up now?
Yeah, well, and so you mentioned a really good thing, this idea of crowding out, right? So, in the IIN school, the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, right now myself, because this is an area for me that's particularly interesting and invigorating to really know how our body can be optimized. And so, one of the things that we talk about, which you're mentioning here, is this concept of crowding out. So instead of removing the donuts and like thinking of removing the foods, instead what you're talking about is crowd out by adding so much lovely food and optimized food to your consumption plan that you're not really even thinking about the ice cream anymore. And what's interesting, Lauren, is this works. I've noticed, as in my own personal world, as I've started to crowd out, meaning make my vegetables so big, like pick the vegetables I want, stay with the vegetables, like do the whole thing. I'm not as hungry. My kid's not as hungry afterwards. We have these big, huge bowls, and we're not as hungry, and the sweets are not the priority. It's that crowding out effect. And so I love that you mentioned that stop focusing on what you can't have and really think about the things that bring you joy, the good food that brings you joy, so that you can pile those on. So I see Judith has
Yeah.
popped on here. Let's see. Erica says, I used to have honey buns and Pop Tarts for breakfast on the way to the bus. Oh, how things have changed. And that's so true. Like I think about, I grew up on powdered milk. I mean, if I was 10 years old and you said, Dawn, can I have a glass of milk? I'd go into the cupboard, I'd grab the powder, I'd add water, I'd shake it, and there you go. Like back then, we didn't know how important food was. We know now. We know now how important food is. You mentioned, a couple people here mentioned sugar, salt. I'm reading this book right now called Sugar, Salt, and Fats, maybe, or something like that, really about the industry itself. Knowing that sugar and salt is like crack cocaine for us, and inserting it into everything, into breads, into cereal, into dried fruit, things that you think might be good for you. So it's just it's crazy. So how do you make breakfast fun? How do you make lunch fun? How do you make dinner fun? Like, what would you tell to somebody who's brand new to finding fun in food? What would you say is the first thing that they should do to really rethink their food consumption plan?
Yeah, great question. So a couple of things. First, make a list of the foods that you love, right? What's the point of trying to talk yourself into eating more of foods that you just don't like yet? Right?
Yes.
So if you're someone right now who a salad for you is romaine lettuce, cucumbers, and cherry tomatoes, start with that and eat more of that. And then you can start to get a little creative and like a little adventurous and add some things that might be delicious, like avocado, sunflower seeds, red onion, green onion, I don't know, peppers, right?
Yeah.
And then over time, um, those more toothsome foods like kale and Brussels sprouts and those
Yeah.
ones, the cruciferous veg really is what comes to mind, right?
Yeah.
Over time, those foods will start to become so much more appealing because, again, your gut bacteria and your body and your vision and your mindset is already primed that
Mm-hmm.
you are a body who likes vegetables,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So a lot of this work is mindset, and I'll get back to more of how they can add fun, but I just want to say really quickly, if you keep telling yourself you're a person who does not like healthy food, does not like to cook, does not like to go grocery shopping, guess what is true? All of those things. So it
Yes.
starts
Yes.
with practicing saying to yourself, I am grateful that such a store exists where I can go in and make any food choice I want.
Mm-hmm.
I am someone who's practicing healthy choices. I'm someone who's learning how to cook. I'm someone who's having fun experimenting with what fruits and vegetables I love.
Yeah.
Right? So just switching that, I mean, in saying that, it feels totally different, right? And even how I say that to you, okay? So that's a piece of it. The other thing that I'll say as well before I circle back on, and remind me if I forget that I want to talk about color,
Yeah.
but really quick, it's really empowering to say and to understand in your transition or in your experience, your practice of choosing healthier foods, you can eat anything you want.
Mm-hmm.
But first, you need to make the plant-based, the veggie, the fruit, the whatever, you need to make a wholesome choice. And then if you're still hungry, have
Yes.
the donut, have the chips, have the ice cream, have the whatever it is. And I promise you, you will not only feel better because you had plants in your body first, but you will
Yeah.
most likely eat but a fraction of that food than you would have if you indulged on an empty stomach. So one of the
Yes.
things I notice is people might say to me when they learn that I personally am vegan, or they just understand me as plant-based, and they say, oh, well, I have this thing and I'd love for you to try some, but you can't have that, right? Oh, interesting. I can have anything I want. I choose to only put in the food that I know supports and serves my body.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's much more of a choice than a restriction. And that's
And I think
empowering.
that is empowering because we have some comments on that over here. That's incredibly empowering. So Andrew says, I love using broccoli slaw as a salad base. That's awesome. Anastasia says, am I the only one that feels like salads from the restaurants just taste better than the salads that I make? I'm going to give you my own little pointers on that one, Anastasia. A couple others, you like the broccoli slaw, that's great. Yeah, it adds that nice crunch. And so I think that's what Chef Lauren is really saying, is to start with what you love and eat that first. Like I've noticed, Lauren, when, you know, we have breakfast at our home, if my daughter starts with toast with cinnamon and sugar on it, right? Or with some sugary cereal, like nothing else good gets into her body for the, like she's
Mm-hmm.
just like anti-healthy for the day. But if she switches to kind of what you're talking about here, to eat real food first, and then if you want the other stuff, do that, but don't be starving when you start eating the chocolate cake or the pot pie, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So those foods like toast is a great example. And I had this yesterday. I had breakfast for dinner. I had like a little, like a vegan veggie scramble, and I had some toast with it. Like that was an accessory. It wasn't the main focus. So
Yes.
so some of those foods are okay to still include in your diet if that's where you are.
Hmm.
Just shift the spotlight, right?
Yeah.
The whole food ingredients should be the spotlight.
Yep.
And those other things that you're still enjoying, that you're still indulging in, whether that's animal protein, cheese, eggs, like whatever that is still for you, it's okay. Have some grace and compassion as those portions become smaller, as those servings become less frequent throughout the week. But it's just completely unrealistic to think that you can go from where you are,
Hmm.
skip 20 miles ahead to where you ideally want to be. Like it's got to be just one foot in front of the other and playing with what
Exactly.
works for you. So kind of back to how to have more fun in your meals. Think about what's colorful. We eat with our eyes first, right? That's why we love like food porn, for example, right? Like we just love to like look at the food that's like, so it's like melting, it's like colorful, it's like doing this whole beautiful thing. But we can take that concept and we can apply it to our healthy food. So by pausing before you eat your meal,
Mm.
even if you're still eating hopefully not, but if you are, that's okay. It's helpful to notice the shift. If you're still eating a lot of beige foods or boring foods or foods that just um, don't fit what you ideally want to eat, like notice right away your next meal. So dinner time. What color is it? Does it have green, reds, orange, purple, yellow?
Hmm.
Maybe there's some white or some kind of like shades of brown or darker colors if there's mushrooms or something, right? So like how can you get as much color onto your plate as possible? Number
Yes.
one, that makes it fun and exciting. Who doesn't want to look at a really colorful, right? That's why we like art. That's why we like landscapes and looking at flowers. Like we are visual beings. We
Mhm.
love to absorb beauty with our eyes. And so by
Exactly.
tuning in and adjusting to seeing that beauty on your plate and getting accustomed to associating that with healthy choices, like that's how you get that balanced nutrition. That's how you make sure that you're getting your breadth of,
Yeah.
vitamins and minerals and all of that. Like it's as simple as looking at what is on your plate. And then over
Yeah.
time, the practice of doing that, that plate of 50 shades of beige is going to look so unappetizing to you. I promise that
Exactly.
happened to me. I couldn't even touch it. I was so sad. It was a pad thai dish. I had
Yeah.
I had to send it back or take it home and like doctor it
Yes.
up myself because it just
Yes. The
was missing that
color.
vitality.
Yeah. So let's do
Yeah.
that here. Because I'm seeing, oh, I wonder, there we go. I'm seeing a lot of comments here, and I just wanted to make sure we got to these over here. So we have my stuffed peppers are going to be so colorful. Let's eat the rainbow. Yeah, so let's do something fun right now. Let's just do something fun right now. So we're talking about creating a colorful palette, right, of food. Let's create a Buddha bowl together. Let's create a Buddha bowl together right now. So Lauren and I have the base of the Buddha bowl, and maybe it's some brown rice, or maybe it's something, some quinoa if you like that, or maybe there's nothing in there. What I want you to do right now, if you were listening here live or the replay, I want you to start building our Buddha bowl together. I want you to add in the comments your favorite, most colorful, yummy vegetables that you can think, or nuts, or berries, or fruit, right? That you can think of. So we're gonna build this together, and then I'll share with Lauren what you all come up with. So Andrew, Erica, Jen, Michelle, go ahead and plug in. Caroline, go ahead and plug in. And anyone else who's here listening live or to the replay, let's do it together. Let's make dinner tonight together. I found personally that the Buddha bowls are the best thing ever. If that's even the real name, I think I'm okay. All right, good.
Yeah, you can call it whatever you want. I go with Power
Yes,
Bowl,
yes,
Vitality Bowl, Beauty Bowl.
yes.
You call it whatever.
Ooh, I like that Vitality Bowl. So we have arugula, we have avocado. These are fantastic ingredients, healthy fats. We're not, building out keto or paleo. Like we're not building out the details of that. Like that's not what the intention here is, right? Because really you do what works for your body. What we're here to do is build the best Buddha bowl together. Andrew says zucchini, carrots, broccoli, red and yellow peppers, edamame. Yes, let's do it. Let's go ahead and share some more of the yummy vegetables and fruit and nuts, right? That's amazing for you. So Erica, the question is, it's really a challenge I have, right? Lauren and I are challenging you to create a virtual Buddha bowl right now and plug in your favorite, most colorful vegetables so that we can build this Buddha bowl together. All right, so we have zucchini, we have carrots, we have broccoli, red and yellow peppers, avocado, arugula. What else? What else would you all add to a Buddha bowl? And I love doing this with my daughter who's 10 because, you know, it's not restricting her. She's creative in this fashion. Like, okay, let's go in the kitchen. And what's great about these Buddha bowls is, you know, you can shift them. You can have a Buddha bowl every week. Like you can grill vegetables in the beginning of the week and then just like pick out pieces of them and have this whole thing. So Erica, what would you put in that Buddha bowl? Go ahead. Caroline, what about you? Strawberries, she says. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So juicy. What a great season. You can grow them yourself. Yes. What else? What else would you all put in your Buddha bowl? So Chef Lauren is all about having fun with food and really telling us that let's build the Buddha bowls, right? And stop worrying about what you can't have. Cilantro, that's a great one. I love lime with cilantro. Yes, yes. What goes with cilantro? Strawberries. Yeah, yeah. I see that there too. Lauren, I know you can't see this. I'm sorry. I wish you could see all this.
No, it's okay. My mouth is watering listening to all of this. I'm so hungry.
Erica says red and yellow peppers, quinoa, broccoli, avocado, cabbage, and spinach. Elizabeth, come on, join in. We're creating a virtual Buddha bowl together. We are talking about crowding out. We are talking about crowding out the stuff and shifting our mindset in loving the rainbow, loving healthy food. While the folks are building our Buddha bowl, our virtual Buddha bowl together, you mentioned something else, Lauren, and it was, you know, to be mindful of your food. This has been something that I since I've heard you talk about this, butternut squash, yes, oh, delicious. Yes. Since I've heard you talk about this, you know, and it's hard for leaders, right? Because we're just like, go, just go. And anyone, right? Small business owners, leaders, you're just like, grab it and go, right? But I've been noticing since you talked about this, you and I were on the phone talking about this. I've been noticing my daughter, right? And so she's like, we don't watch a lot of TV, but every once in a while, she's like, can I watch a show while I'm eating? I'm like, no, because then she won't be mindful, right?
Right.
And I'm watching her at the table and she's kind of like shoving food in her mouth. And I'm like, we got to be mindful of what we're putting in our body.
Mm-hmm.
Julie says roasted Brussels sprouts. Oh my God, yum, Julie. Roasted Brussels sprouts and roasted cauliflower. I have both of those things in my fridge. Yes, we're making Buddha bowls tonight. Erica says it's her favorite. And so if you're listening here and getting inspired to, you know, start to build your breakfast, lunch, or dinner in a way that's colorful, like Chef Lauren's talking about, that you can pause and really, you know, nourish your body with these healthy foods, these nutrient dense foods, these foods that will actually fuel us, then we're going to want coffee a lot less. We're going to want the sugar jolts a lot less, right? We're going to want these things that we've been cycling into our bodies a lot less because we've built in these components of nutrition. And like Chef Lauren was saying, it's not going to happen overnight, right? This is, you know, practice. And honestly, Chef Lauren, I've noticed a change in my own body. My stomach feels flatter now that I'm not eating a lot of the gluten-based foods. I feel stronger. I feel more energized. But like I said, my stomach feels flatter. And for me, that's a big deal because I always have stomach issues and belly is rumbling. How many else? Yeah, you guys have it too. I know you do. And so it makes you feel better when you don't have these foods in your body. So let's talk a little bit about Buddha bowls, right? Because we're building our Buddha bowl. Would you recommend eating this for breakfast too, for lunch? Like, how do you distinguish between your meals?
Yeah, totally. I am a rule breaker by nature, so just because it's breakfast doesn't mean that any food is off limits or any food is strange to have in the morning. Like if this is a meal that will set you up for success for the rest of your day, have it. Sometimes I have breakfast for dinner. Sometimes I have savory breakfast. Sometimes I have savory waffles for breakfast. Sometimes it's a smoothie or a smoothie bowl. Like
Exactly.
it just depends, right? So like with the Buddha bowls, for example, as well, like you could do a sweet Buddha bowl. Maybe the base is rice or is oats, cooked oats or overnight soaked oats. Like maybe that's your base. And then if it's a sweet one, maybe you're adding tons of like berries and fruit and maybe like some granola that's not too high in sugar and maybe like a nice drizzle of nut butter and some other superfoods and crunchy toppings and stuff. Like that can be a Buddha bowl. Um, maybe your Buddha bowl is like a smoothie bowl, in which case you just make a really thick smoothie, tons of frozen fruit, a little splash of juice or plant-based milk or water. And then you top it with all of that same type of stuff. Or maybe your bowl is a salad, right? And it's a salad that's like totally dressed to the nines. It's got protein, it's got an awesome dressing. The secret, by the way, I will say, to loving plant-based food, the secret is in the sauce. So now the secret's out. So when you've got this like amazing sauce, it
Mm-hmm.
just makes everything better. I mean, that's true in a lot of other food as well, but it's especially true for plant-based food. Like the sauce will make you fall in love with vegetables in a way that you didn't think was possible. And
Yeah.
then if you decide like, maybe salads sound like they're too light for you, or like it's winter time where it's, or a cold day where it's hard to really like sink your teeth into a cold salad, add some warm grain, add some warm roasted veggies, like make it more of a power bowl, more of a traditional Buddha bowl.
Yes.
So there
I
is
agree.
no rule, right? And even, sometimes maybe you could take all those ingredients that are in your Buddha bowl and you stir fry them all together.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
then maybe you don't have quite a Buddha bowl, like you've actually now made a stir fry,
Yeah.
right? Or you
Yes.
do you do all
Yes.
your veggies on one sheet pan
Mm-hmm.
and then you just scoop them from the tray and into a bowl. And maybe that's a simple Buddha bowl, right? Like
Yes. Yes.
whatever it is. I mean, I could keep going. There's so many different ideas, but I hope that that gives people a bit of kind of something to latch on to, like for what could actually be next.
It does. It does. And I have to be honest with you, like I have gone away from salads lately unless they have like warm vegetables on top. Like
Yeah.
so the other day I grilled a bunch of uh what are the oh god, not asparagus, the green. Oh my god, my brain's not
Brussels sprouts?
the Brussels sprouts. So I grilled a bunch of those and I literally just and a bunch of other yes, Andrew's loving all your ideas by the way. So is
Awesome.
Caroline. And so I just grilled a bunch of different vegetables. And then each day I'm like, okay, I'm going to have a salad, but just a little bit of lettuce and a lot of grilled vegetables. And I love the warmth of that, sprinkled with a little bit of Brazil nuts for the thyroid and a little bit of other kinds of nuts as well, just gently sprinkled. It adds like these pops. I love adding like little capers or olives or something to give
Hmm.
it like a little spruce. I know I think it was Alicia loves adding cilantro. So it's like these little herbs and these little things that we can add that are still, bringing us to this place where we're optimizing. So I want to bring it back to that for a second. I want to bring it back to this optimization piece. So leaders in general, they want to create systems. They want to create, successful opportunities, right? And so one of the things that we find is they often don't do that with themselves, right? So they create these great work systems and they create these great teams, but then they have a hard time taking really good care of themselves. And so optimizing their body is a key to success in the world of leadership. It just is. And you're not sitting there tired while everyone else is full of energy. You're not running out getting coffee or having belly aches. You're on point and you're so energized. um, and so what are we have a couple of questions here. Hang tight for 1 second. I
Hmm.
used to make a big tray of roasted vegetables, sweet potatoes, broccoli, and carrots, and would put them on everything throughout the week. Yes, exactly. So Chef Lauren mentioned sauces. And so for those of you who are currently in our RG programs, you might not know this yet, but Miss Chef Lauren is going to be doing a private cooking session just for us. So we're going to get the ingredients, right? We're going to get a little sheet of ingredients. You're going to get a little sheet of ingredients, team, and we're going to do a virtual cooking class, and she's going to teach us how simple those sauces are to make to really make this vegetable, effort that we want so much easier and so much tastier. So Erica's super excited about that. Yeah, exactly. I know Chris, you're part of our leadership program, RG leadership. So you're part of that. Andrew, yes, you're a part of that. Jen, you're a part of that. Caroline, you're a part of that. So one of the things that we try to do in our leadership programs, yay, Alicia's a part of it too. Andrew loves it. They love that they're getting a private session with you. So what we try to do in our leadership program is really teach leadership concepts. We teach folks how to build teams. We teach folks, how to build infrastructure, and we teach folks how to take really good care of themselves. And so you are a part of that for us. So for those of you, yes, Caroline is super pumped. Chris says, yummy. For those of you who are part of our leadership program, we have this special treat. We create this leadership of self component hand delivered to you, right? Lauren's coming to do something that people pay hundreds of dollars to hire her for one session just for them and a hubby or a wife or something. So you all get it. You all get it as part of your package, which I'm really proud of. So for those of you who are not in the leadership program and you want to be, you can definitely reach out to me or Caroline, and we'll get you hooked up. And for those of you who just want Lauren, I need to talk to this woman more. She's actually my nutrition consultant. So I'm super happy that her and I are working one-on-one together. And she does a lot of work one-on-one with folks just like you, leaders just like you, who want to get into shape relative to, what's in their kitchen. And she helps with planning, what you can take out of your cabinets, what you can put in, and how to just get jump started with it all. So if you want to contact Lauren directly, we can provide that information for you. We'll go back and plug it into the comments here, or if Caroline or Michelle or any of you have easy access to that link, go ahead and plug it in. Because Lauren, I can't wait for our time together where you're just going to support me. I know I need accountability. We run a coaching program and I need to be coached. I have coaches for everything.
Yeah. It's so helpful though, right? Like, and two, to have that person where you're like actively able to troubleshoot with, because food is something that we encounter every day. We get to eat every day. How amazing is that? But also we encounter food and potential diet like landmines and things that are really going to maybe blow up in our face. So just having that real-time support as people go through and build their own confidence in themselves and in the food world around them is really, really powerful. And sometimes I just I can't believe that I get to do this. Like, it's so simple and it's so fun for me that it's just the coolest.
I love it. Before we end, we have a couple minutes left, so I wanted to pick your brain on this idea of food being self-care, because so often we hear the opposite. We hear it's like how it makes us feel good because something wrong went in our lives, right? And so we use food as kind of like this band-aid, or we remove food from our lives if we're on like a diet and trying to lose weight, and it's like we can't have this food, right? And so people have these relationships with food that are, often controlling, right? And or lack thereof. And so you have a whole different perspective. You talk about using food as a form of self-care. So can you share with us a little bit about that concept?
Yeah, absolutely. So this kind of formed for me when I realized that anything that we put into our body either builds us up or tears us down, right? So eating an apple is going to deliver fiber and vitamins and nutrients. Eating Apple Jacks, not so much, right? So you can understand really the difference there, right? So the concepts of food as self-care, there really are three pillars. The first being the actual food you eat, right? Obviously. So it should be whole food, nutrient dense, plant strong when you can, food that is actual real food, right? And then the second concept is the way that the food was prepared, right? So that helps to just really deliver that first point home. And so that's, choosing food that was grown slowly and intentionally, hopefully without, chemical pesticides and all of that type of stuff,
Definitely.
versus food that was prepared in a hurry, food that was prepared on an assembly line or in a factory, right? If it is a plant, eat it. If it was made in one, don't. It can be as simple as that, right? And then the last piece, which is what you mentioned, you were kind of teaching to your daughter, Dawn, where you want to be mindful to your food. So it's the actual food you eat, the energy with which it was prepared. That's our own energy as well. So are you bringing loving kindness and compassion into your food preparation, or are you bringing stress and anger and disinterest to making your meals? Are you connected with that process? Because what goes from your hands into the food comes back to you. It's a closed loop, right?
Yeah.
And that's such an intimate act. So I love to go out to eat, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
after a week of traveling and eating all meals out,
Ugh,
like I can't wait to get back home to cook my own food my way. Like it just feels different,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so then the last concept there is the way that we're eating our food. So are we enjoying it in a mindful way? Are we pausing to absorb the color? Are we fully present with our meal so our body and brain can actually register that we ate? Or are we distracted? Are we watching TV? Are we driving while we're eating? Are we answering emails? Are we on social media? Like, are we doing 100 other things
Guilty. I'm so
besides?
guilty.
But that last part is a practice. That last part truly is a practice. So some things that I've noticed that I love to do to help make that easier, more enjoyable is like put on some good music. Put
Mhm.
on some kind of just like something nice just to listen to, right? Like that's much more of a passive activity than like putting your eyes
Yeah.
putting your eyes on something when your hand is doing this,
Yeah. Yes.
because it's our hand-eye coordination kind of. It's the same kind of hand-eye processing. So like if we're not looking even down at our plate, pretty soon like we're scraping at nothing because we ate the whole thing and we didn't even realize it.
And we don't realize it, and it's there, and you were like, what did we just do? A girlfriend of mine, never eats dinner other than at the kitchen table. It's, creates conversation. It
Yeah.
gives an opportunity for everyone to come together. And I think as a leader of my own business, you know I struggle with this. I struggle with this because, even I'm doing yoga in the morning, and I'm like, all right, grab a bar, and I'll drop you off at school, and in the car I'm eating. And so I really have that part of it wrong. This mindful piece is something that's extremely interesting for me personally, because I think that, when I hear you talk about this food, this instrument that you're putting in your body to nourish it, right? This tool, I guess. I don't always think like that when I'm shoving something down my mouth, But I notice at the times where we do sit at the kitchen table, and I am completely present, that I'm full unhealthy stuff, that I'm drinking the water, that I'm doing the thing, versus if I'm just like, all right, Ella, let's grab a bar, let's go. And I see the impact that it has on her. She's 10, and she's just quickly eating. So this is fascinating to me, this relationship between pausing. We actually have this saying in our group called find the pause, right? And
Mm,
so, I'm fascinated by this relationship between finding the pause when you eat as a form
mm-hmm.
of self-care, and taking that bite and knowing what it took to grow that vegetable, and the sun that hit it, and how many days, and the hands that plucked it, and the caring that took place, and then what is happening inside my body to actually digest it, right? And I feel more full when I do that. I feel more nourished when I do that, but I still haven't gotten into the habit of doing that. So I think this is an area for a lot of leaders to say to themselves, we implement these habits into our work environments all the time, but what about this beautiful concept that you're bringing to the table, which is build it into your personal self as a form of leadership of self? So I think that
Mm-hmm.
that's brilliant. I can't wait to work with you one-on-one and really get this evened out with my family. And we're relatively healthy, right? But there's things like this that you talk about that are just fascinating to me, that we can enjoy, we can build into our lives. Julie and Erica are both relating to what we're saying here. Erica, Erica enjoys her little doggy staring 6 inches from her plate, but it makes her happy. I love the music, the connection, the slowing down, the finding that pause while we're eating piece, which is just brilliant. So the 3 pillars, can you just recap those 3 pillars that you talked about one more time?
Yeah, sure. So the first is the actual food that you eat should
Mm,
be food that fuels you, not food that harms you.
mm-hmm.
The second is the way that it was prepared. So was it grown slowly? Was it produced quickly? And how was your personal energy when it was being prepared?
Yeah.
And then the last being the way that you enjoy your food. And then within that, still there's
Mm-hmm.
so much to dive into deeper within the private groups, I suspect. But yeah, that's the quick recap. And something that I'll say when you mentioned find the pause, something that a term kind of related that I like to use for myself is find the hunger. So oftentimes we eat when we're like not even hungry. We're bored, we're sad, we're looking to satiate that hunger in another area of our life. But our first choice is to go to the pantry or to the freezer or to like wherever we find those squirreled away treats. So if
Mm-hmm.
you find the hunger, you really find like, am I actually physically hungry, right? That sensation that makes a baby cry, or are you any of those other things? And like, what's an actual solution or a meal for that thing, right? Like maybe you're hungry for like human connection. So have a phone call instead of a date with Ben and Jerry from the freezer, right?
Yes.
Like how can you actually provide the more appropriate meal for
Yeah.
whatever that actual hunger is? Like it might not always be food. And some
Yes.
people would be surprised to know too, like, in my experience of 5 or 6 years of plant-based living, I love to eat, but I don't eat as much. Like if I don't feel a need to snack. So I notice that, when I really can sink into like, okay, it's time for a meal. What am I hungry for? Ooh, how exciting. I get to go and explore and have fun and
Mm,
create something new. And so years and years of practicing that, I found that physically and mentally my energy is much more grounded. My thoughts are clearer, my energy's calmer. I feel physically more connected to the planet, but emotionally, energetically, and spiritually, I'm just at like a totally higher baseline than I
yeah.
ever thought possible. So it's this really interesting kind of experience, this almost
It,
polar opposite pull when you have years of practice of just like aligning more of your own personal self with the magic medicine and rhythm of nature. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So for those of you, you've been a little quiet now. We want to know what your thoughts are. What are you thinking about these 3 pillars that Chef Lauren is talking about? What do you think about this mindful eating, this, grabbing the food that, thinking about how it's prepared? Let us know in the comments here what you're thinking or what specific questions you have. Is this resonating with you? Are you defining an action step that you can take today? Because you all know, we come to these sessions, if you walk away with 0 action steps, then you've wasted your time, right? So we want to make sure that you have quality action steps, little bites at a time, no pun intended, and to really move into a healthier way. So it sounds like if I'm listening to all of this, I might say to myself, what's something I can do? Well, I can think about organically grown food, no pesticides, no chemicals, local food, looking at the farmer's market or, Misfits, right? Or something like that where you're getting a regular supply of hopefully local vegetables. And then this idea of preparing. So I have to be honest with you, this idea of preparing really pulled at me for this past year. And I tried to streamline cooking. I was like, I'm going to order trifecta, which was wonderful. I'm going to order, some food prepared, right? All of that. I said, because I'm busy. I'm a busy business owner. And so, but I've been inspired, and it looks like you're getting a ton of love right now, by the way. And it looks like that others are inspired too, to go into their kitchen and be with the food and use that soft time to really get connected. I'm going to go ahead and read some of these comments here. so that you can feel some of the love too. Erica says, I love cooking and feel proud when I make something yummy and healthy. I would like to really be present when cooking my delicious stuffed peppers tonight. I love it. I love it. Caroline says, I love how you emphasize the idea of taking care of yourself from the inside out. I think my next step is to really make sure I'm buying colorful, fresh foods. Yeah, Caroline, that's so simple. And she says that she's also gardening and growing her own food. What a perfect time to start that process. Maria is chiming in, says, it makes total sense. I didn't really think about the mindset while cooking or preparing or eating while working before today. Yeah, I'm so glad, Maria, that you're walking away with some great action steps and mindset shifts. Andrew says it's great to have different perspective to a healthier lifestyle and feel closer to what becomes natural, what comes naturally from the earth. Absolutely. Yes, you can come for dinner. That sounds amazing. Healthy cooking. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm inspired to just get back into the kitchen. Like, I am a simple cooker, right? I'm a simple cooker. I'm a simple chef. And so I love how simple this is. You're not talking about 10 hours in the kitchen. You're talking about slow down, grab healthy food, grill or broil, or like make it real healthy. We have some more over here. Erica says, I can't wait to start. Let's see. Andrew says, I'm not even going to ask, just show up. Love this, Maria. I think you'll feel a real change. Yeah. And for those of you who want to build in this into your everyday, our leaders who are in our leadership group get access to Lauren, to Chef Lauren, every quarter for the next year, as part of our gift to you for really leading yourself into leadership, knowing that taking good care of yourself and using food as self-care is a key component to your leadership success in business, as a supervisor, and as a human. Alicia says, yes, she is inspired. Alicia, what are you inspired to do? What's the one thing that you are inspired to do today? Let's talk about goodbyes. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's almost 3 o'clock. Lauren, forever. I can talk to you forever.
I know.
If you have been inspired by Lauren, let's see. Haha, you're both invited. I like it. More veggies, says Alicia. If you're listening live right now, I want you to write one action step that you can thank Lauren for bringing to you. One action step that you can take as a leader of your life today to really think about how you're fueling your system. So go ahead, one action step, so that Lauren can go ahead and read all these comments later and be so inspired that her time that she donated to us today is fruitful for you. So Alicia says, more mindful eating. Yeah, me too. I'm gonna stop going to the fridge, grabbing something, and then just like walking with it and eating. I'm gonna make sure I sit down or go to my deck or something. I love that, Alicia. You and I could do that together virtually. So if you're listening to the replay, I want you to plug it in too, because I'm going to go back and look at all these great ideas about vegetables, about mindful eating. What vegetables are you loving on? What do you think that you're going to build into your schedule, into your meal planning? I love avocados. Yes, I like it. Anastasia says, find the hunger. That was her takeaway. Fantastic. Andrew says, change it up. And start having a couple Buddha bowls a week for lunch, being mindful and having healthier options. Yes. Abdu says, you are what you eat. So let's level up and start eating fresh and healthy. I like that. Fantastic. Julie says, I like find the hunger. Yeah, find the hunger. So I mean, I know this is just a little snippet of time, and really there's so much more that Chef Lauren can provide for you. So if you want to get in touch with Lauren directly, we're going to plug in her website to the comments here, so that you have full access to her. And if you are looking for a larger leadership program where you also get access to Lauren, then reach out to myself or Caroline, and we'll get you set up immediately, because self-care is a part of the bigger picture of leadership. It just is. And if you're missing that boat, you're missing a big part of the joy that your life could be having. Maria says, thinking more about foods and how they really make me feel. I like that, Maria, that connection to how it makes you feel. Renee says, asking, am I really hungry or just need water? And what's funny is both Lauren and I have been sipping on our waters as we are here. That's a great question. Asking if I'm really hungry or if I just need water, or, part of drinking water before before you shovel in dinner, to really gauge how hungry you are. So Lauren, you've been a fantastic, and I know that we've been picking your brain, and I wish you could see all these comments here. Go ahead and show some love to Lauren. If you've enjoyed Lauren here, I know she's gonna, I'll tell her whether or not she comes back to this. I will let her know how much love she's getting right now. Caroline says, send me yes, Caroline will be able to help you out. Absolutely. So I just want to personally thank you, Lauren, for being here. You're getting some love. I know you can't see it, but you're getting some love.
I'll go back and check it out. Yeah.
And I'm so excited that you're going to come work with me privately. I can't wait for that accountability and that clarity in my own life that you're going to provide for me personally and for our larger team. And so I'm so thankful and excited about how that's going to work out. And I want to thank you just for donating your time today and being here with this crew here. I know so many people are loving on you right now because they are just as inspired by you as I am. And let me just tell you, this is a sliver of what Lauren, you've gotten a teeny weeny bit. She's phenomenal. She's phenomenal and really is so motivating. I already feel better as I'm starting to build in some of the things that she's talking about. So you can too. You can too. So thank you, Lauren, and I can't wait to see you with our crew and by myself a little after this. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. And for those of you who are popping on right now, I see a couple of you popping on right now. You've missed a great session. We're ending, but the recording will be available in our guides. So Facebook changed units to guides, so they'll be available in our guides in maybe 20 minutes or so. So we get all kinds of love. Chris, Anastasia, Donna, everyone saying thank you to you. Caroline saying thank you. Yeah, Erica, yes, everyone's giving you some love. So thank you. And we look forward to seeing you pretty soon.
Sounds good. Bye, everybody. Thanks so much for having me.
Bye.